So, you know, I've been thinking about the place in the background here.
Yeah?
Yeah, because when they cry, the images that start the chapters, right, are usually of places of some importance.
Hmm.
And we haven't seen this one yet, which means it's either somewhere we haven't visited yet, or Keiichi hasn't visited yet, or it's somewhere that, or you know, it's a game in development. Maybe they went back and gave a distinct thing to someone that had a generic one earlier on. Couple of guesses.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor's residence. They seem
Interesting.
important enough that we might go there. It doesn't look like it looks like it's in Hinamizawa.
Mm-hmm.
So proper. So it's like Mayor's residence is an important place there we haven't been. It doesn't look like it's anything around the temple. We've seen a lot of the buildings around there. I don't know if we ever got one for did we get one that showed Rika's original home? Or the community? We got one for the community hall. Right. Yes, we
Probably.
did. Yeah, we did. So I guess Rika's folks' home could be there. I don't think that's it. It doesn't, like, the background doesn't look like right for that. It doesn't look like anywhere on the Sonozaki compound, because we've seen some pictures of the building that was used for that in the rest of the area, and it's actually not very close to the woods like this. Yeah, the Kimiyoshi residence or the Ryugu residence. Those are the two big places in Hinamizawa that we haven't been to yet, or Keiichi has not been to yet, that I think might be important enough for this. How those both tie into a Sadako-focused chapter, I don't fucking know. Maybe it was the place where Sadako's family used. Maybe that's the old Hojo residence. Maybe it's no longer in use. But I mean, and like, assuming assuming I'm right about this being the Sadako-focused chapter. Actually, you know what? While we're talking about Sadako, we were talking between episodes about what that might look like, weren't we?
Were we?
Yeah, very briefly. We talked about, like, what a Sadako-focused chapter would look like. Because up until this point, she's kind of been on the periphery of pretty much everything else going on. My contention was that, well, she obviously was not one of the players in Shion's situation there. Like I maintained, Sadako was just an unfortunate victim of circumstance in that one. And in the Watanagashi annual killings, it looked as if, well, certainly her family was targeted. It didn't seem like that was because of something that Sadako did.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I think it was something that maybe her folks got involved with. It was my theory at the time. However, Shion did give us a bit to bite on last episode by talking about the cursed child, right?
Yeah.
We brought this up during the discussion. And I wonder if that's the direction this arc is going to take. Sadako, who, under normal circumstances, would have no reason to want to kill anyone, maybe is not bearing this moniker of the cursed child as well as we think she is. Maybe under certain circumstances, she could be pushed far enough to be like, fine, if you're going to all call me the cursed child, I'm just going to embrace that and get to murder someone as a treat.
Just to see what it feels like.
Right, just to see what it feels like. Because other than that, I don't see how she fits into any of the other stuff we have established yet. Then again, I didn't see Shion coming either, so maybe it's something entirely out of left field here. Although, like, there were hints that Shion was going to be a character before that, with Oishi making an offhand comment about, like, which one of the Sonozakis it was. So that's my guess. That's my thought. And all of that, we haven't even... Hold on one second here. We haven't even gotten past the title screen yet, so that's always fun when we don't even get that far into it before I start derailing us with important stuff. Anyway, shall we actually start this episode?
Yeah.
Sorry. Actually, you know what? I'd say I'm sorry, but I'm not. This is episode 3 now of Higurashi. If you're still here, you know what you're in for. You've told us you like this, so
I just had such a confused moment because I was like, no, this is episode 2. This is the second time we're recording this chapter.
Chapter
and it's
3,
like, oh, it's episode 3, episode 2.
Yeah. It's hard. Actually, funnily, what was that statistic we just saw where on Steam, only 63% of players have the achievement for getting to this point in the game right here? And that's, all the games on Steam are separate chapters, which means that 36 point something percent of players got to this part in Higurashi and were just like, you know what? No, I'm good now. They played all through of chapters 1 and 2 and started chapter 3 and they're like, you know what? This ain't for me. Just a weird place to give it up in. After chapter 1, maybe at the beginning of chapter 2, you see it's more of the same. I can see it bouncing off then, but after 2 chapters of this, what do you think was going to happen? If you're part of that 36%, I want to know, who are you?
I wonder if some of it is folks who got tired of reading and switched to the anime or something.
Oh, maybe that's it. Well, I mean, as you pointed out, it's a different experience, but I guess they don't know that. Hey, Mio.
Okay. Anyway, lunchtime has finally arrived.
Oh,
but
right.
actually, now you're going to have to constantly wonder if this is Mion or Shion for the rest of this game.
Here's the thing, is that we know that they do swap frivolously sometimes, but even then, because they're on bad terms, it seems to be when they want to get something out of it. Mion does swap with Shion to get into Angel More, but because she wants to check in on Keiichi and deliver that whole spiel about, the history of the labor movement, right? So, I'm not saying that it can't happen. I'm saying if it does happen, we need to explain why they're doing it.
Fair enough.
It's not just anything can be explained by any one of them being plugged in. If we're going to use that explanation, we then have to also answer the question of why they swapped in that moment. And as we all know, Shion is not really into the whole club activities part of this, at least from my analysis of the last chapter. So the fact that Mion's getting all excited about this and also has done a great job with it probably makes me think it's probably Mion.
Lunchtime at last. Someone here will have to play the punishment game, yes?
The punishment this time, it's a little scary, so...
Why are you being all blushy happy about the punishment game, Rena? Don't think I didn't notice that.
Sorry, but Rena went all out on making her bento.
We know about you and your sadistic streak, Rena. Don't think I don't. In Rena's case, I don't think she'd lose even if she wasn't taking it very seriously.
Meep. We tried our hardest too. Sadako and Rika-chan made separate lunches today. Usually you have the same bento, but that won't do for the showdown today, will it?
Yes, it's quite all right. Rika and I made sure to make separate ones.
Wow, Sadako-chan and Rika-chan both tried really hard. How exciting. What's a little surprising is that Kei-chan was able to make a bento. Good job, Kei-chan. It looks like you really can do it if you try.
I scratched my head and gave her a dry smile. My bento today had been made entirely by Sadako last night. It had none of my personality, so there wasn't anything there that they could praise me for.
What does Keiichi-kun's bento look like? I can't wait to see.
Don't expect too much from me, it's just the leftover rice and side dishes from last night.
Leftovers are the foundation of bentos.
I like that philosophy. Make too much the night before, have some extra the day later.
Yeah.
Now we'll know if your dinner last night, too, will kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
I think about that a lot because I wish I lived by that philosophy, but,
Just
none
hungry.
of the stuff that we make in big quantities is a thing that's good to be, part of another meal for a lunch the next day. We make tons of pasta and so on, but, pasta with red sauce and vegan meatballs is not a thing you would put in a lunchbox with other food.
No.
It's just another serving of the same meal.
Right, it has a different kind of feel to it. But that's why I like it when we do balls to the wall Indian nights.
Yeah, then we've got a ton of different things for the next days, but we don't cook that. We just buy that.
Yeah, exactly. Because
we aren't good enough at that style of cooking to make it work.
Right. That is something I'd like to try more when we live in a place that isn't decrepit and has a functional kitchen.
Yeah, having an actual kitchen with space for stuff rather than an apartment kitchenette with a stove with a single half-working burner.
A single half-working burner. A two-side sink with only one side still fully intact. There's a lot to be desired here.
We're doing the best we can with our cooking given the limited conditions.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're doing okay.
It's one of those things where, like, if I had another burner, I could make breakfast in, like, half the time because I wouldn't need to fry everything in the same fucking pan over the same fucking fire, but... regardless. Is it really better to hide the fact that Sadako came over last night and made dinner? Well, of course it was. If I revealed that I didn't make my own bento, I'd be sure to end up playing the punishment game. So the takeaway here is that characters will sometimes lie about where they were and what they've done. If they think it's in their interest, right?
Including our viewpoint character.
Will he lie about that to us, though?
It's unclear.
We know that
lie
he's
about it to
willfully,
others.
not willfully ignorant in that he'll, like, sometimes, like, not fully let himself process what he's seeing, and, like, but that's a willful action on his part. Keiichi. Today's punishment game was to stand right in front of the curry maniac Chie-sensei and say bad things about curry. It wasn't too different from telling someone to jump out of a 100th story window. It was exactly the same as telling someone to die.
But Mi-chan, how will we decide who wins and loses the bento showdown? Keiichi-kun made his own too, so maybe we should call it a draw for today?
We could do that. The punishment game yesterday was sort of a whip to encourage Keiichi-san to cook for himself, after all.
And Keiichi made his own too, so it's a draw.
My simple bento with last night's leftovers could never have stood up to everyone else's bento that they made to win. I fully understood Sadako and Rika-chan's concern for me as they tried to end the showdown peaceably. But Mion won't have that. That's not Mion. However, the club president Mion Sonozaki would not be convinced by something like that.
I wonder why you're all so optimistic. Leaving one of our showdowns in such a gray area is out of the question.
Right.
Ignore chapter 2.
What's a chapter 2?
Ignore it.
Okay.
Now that we've clashed, we must settle the score.
And again, another little hint there that of who's who during that arc. Right.
Reconciling with a draw only happens in the Yakuza world. Not that I know about that.
Okay.
Ignore chapter 2.
All right. I don't know what chapter 2 is, but okay.
Good, you're ignoring it successfully.
I knew you'd say that. There's no way you'd end it that way with your battle lust. This was bad. At this rate, I was sure to be the sole loser. But, well, I didn't make this bento after all. Maybe I need to resign myself to my inevitable loss.
Okay, Mi, how are we going to decide who wins? It won't be fair if we grade each other's. Let's do an open judgment. Okay, everyone, assemble.
Mion commanded everyone who had just started eating using her club president voice.
Come and judge our 5 bento. Write your favorite 3 on a piece of paper and submit it. Understand?
Everyone in the class was used to being dragged into Mion's club activities. Yeah, came the energetic voices from here and there. Everyone already knew that the showdown this time involved an utterly fatal punishment game, and they were all very interested in what would happen to whoever lost. Oh, so the club activities aren't just like their own little insular thing. Mion makes it everyone else's problem.
Even though it is their own thing, it's still everyone else's problem. We also learn that Mion is definitely not afraid to completely abuse her position of power if it's funny.
As long as it's funny. Yep, that sounds about right. Of course, they wanted the thrill of seeing something terrifying.
Okay, everyone ready? Then I'll go first, all right? Ta-da!
In an exaggerated fashion, Mion pulled the lid off of her multi-tiered ornate bento box. Multiple cheers of joy erupted at the brilliant sight.
That's amazing! It's just like New Year's food!
It can't be. It has to be a lie. She must have switched the contents with a catered bento. Such purely Japanese cooking. Mion Sonozaki couldn't possibly make this. Except we know that she could.
Nope, this is easy for Mi-chan if she gets serious. She almost never gets serious, though. Just who do you think this old man is? Given enough time and ingredients, I could even reproduce the Manchu Han Imperial Feast.
The entire classroom gulped audibly. and everyone wrote down a score on the notepaper in their hands simultaneously.
Did the Manchu-Han Imperial Feast scene in Muv-Luv come after this game? Or before it?
Which Muv-Luv game is that in?
The first one.
I'm pretty sure the first Muv-Luv was out before Chapter 3 of Higurashi.
Interesting.
So I would bet that this is probably a little bit of a nod towards Muv-Luv.
That or the Manchu-Han Imperial Feast is just a thing, like a cultural thing. I wouldn't know if it was. It's just like, oh, if I had a nickel for every time I've heard that specifically referencing the Manchu-Han Imperial Feast in a school classroom cooking contest in
You'd have
a
two
visual
nickels?
novel, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't that many, but it's weird that it happened twice.
It made sense. Just the visual impact would give her a perfect score.
All right, let's see Rena's next. Rena's really good at cooking too. Rena's bento is always like a flower arrangement. Thanks, everyone. I'll reveal my bento now. Hey.
Rena's bento was a beautiful mix of the 2 colors of eggs and minced meat. And it too was a bento staple, the Saburo bento. She had been thorough with the side dishes as well, and they were abundant in number.
What is a Soboro bento?
I don't know. Why don't you look up that while I narrate? She'd spent more time than usual on it, but it was unassuming and truly nonchalant. One couldn't ignore the household warmth in it that Mion's bento lacked.
Oh, if I may say, you've done it again. This should get quite a high score.
So Rena's advantage is that she's not fancy, but she's got the fucking homemade quality to it. You know, the thing that's not over the top or pretentious, but is just a simple meal done so incredibly well that you can't help but feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saburo bento is apparently with like ground meat.
Oh, that does look tasty.
After these episodes, I want a bento so bad. I'm annoyed that there was a bento place in town that I used to go to, and they stopped selling bento, even though it has bento in the name. They switched to sushi because it was more profitable.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay,
Would you like me to make you a bento to take to work every day? If I
take to work in the other room next to this room. Like 15 feet away from here.
Yeah. This is Mion's line, by the way.
Which one?
Right here.
Oh.
I should have known.
I should have known. It may look rigid, but there isn't anything to deduct points from. Amazing as always.
Once again, every one of the judges wrote a score on their notepaper at the same time. There seemed to be some who were revising their opinions when they compared it to Mion's score, too. The whole classroom seemed split between Mion and Rena. And on everyone's face it was clear. They all wanted to be tasting them rather than scoring them.
Then we'll be next.
Yes, I will now reveal mine.
Come to think of it, Sadako and Rika-chan ate with me last night at my house. I was impressive that they still made a bento. Both their bentos were clearly lacking compared to Mion's artfulness and Rena's perfection. However, because of that, you could sense from them how hard they worked. The toppings were a little on the rough side, but you could still feel that they tried their hardest. Made you feel a little biased, so you get them more points. A few people struck by just that once again revised their opinions and wrote scores on their notepaper. Sadako, Rika-chan, you both made really good bentos today. They might not measure up to Reno or Mion's craftsmanship, but when you think about that, they're pretty amazing. Sadako and Rika-chan then glanced at each other and grinned happily.
This is a secret, okay?
What? When Sadako told me, I broke off from the others and secretly looked for my classmates' bento boxes. There, Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun's bento boxes. Took a quick peek inside and, oh, half the contents were missing. Not bad. In the end, Sadako and Rika-chan hadn't made bento today. A bold move. Again with Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun. Those are the same ones that. Oh my God, are those two like the class bullied?
In this case, though, do you remember what Keiichi motivated them with?
By getting part of Sadako and Rika's lunch. Yeah,
they are, I think, meant to be like same grade as Sadako and Rika and have crushes on them. So, yep, they are getting exploited over that for
You did get half of their lunch, just not in the way you thought you did. Hey, Tomita-kun, Okamura-kun, how did they buy you out?
What do you say, Maebara-san? What do we get bought out, and for what?
That's right. It's not like we traded them our duty watering the garden for half our bentos.
Curse you, Sadako. What an impudent trick! Sadako grinned, showing her fang like canines, and laughed in triumph.
Oh, this is only something I learned from you, Keiichi-san.
Yes. Oh ho ho.
That was really menacing, actually, coming from you, Rika. How naive, buying them out with watering duty alone. They're men. If you're gonna buy them out, you need to use something a lot spicier than that. For example, like giving them 3 tickets to walk Sadako and Rika-chan around like dogs all day, with them on all fours, wearing tails and leashes around their neck. All right. Whoa, that might be enough to get me to do anything. Keiichi, man. Settle down, buddy. As I was lost in my wild fantasies, Mion clapped me on the shoulder and called me back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Damn, it was just getting good, itty.
All right. Next up is Kei-chan's bento. We're all hoping for something pretty great because of your declaration yesterday. But how did it really turn out? Keiichi-kun can do it if he needs to. Rena was really excited for today.
Ugh,
You wouldn't lie to me about your bento, would you, Keiichi?
No, I would never lie to you about my bento, Rena.
That's good. You know what I think about lies, and the lying liars who tell them.
What? What do you mean? Well, how would I know what you know about lies? I'm not thinking about chapter 1. They're all looking forward to it. But it's really just leftover from dinner last night. I didn't even make it either. How was that supposed to stand up to Mion and Rena and the others? Oh, that's it. Feast your eyes on this. Ha ha! I tore the lid off my bento box. There weren't very many cheers. Well, I guess there wouldn't be.
Keiichi-kun, you tried your hardest too. Rena can tell how hard you worked.
Rena, don't feel like you need to compliment me. It's fine.
How did this happen? Was Keiichi-san actually a hard worker after all?
Well, I mean, I want to acknowledge how hard you tried, but for this showdown, it doesn't matter.
Mion's cold, mean laugh. It was like it spoke for everyone's opinion just like that. Also, again, the really important thing here is how easily friends will lie for one another, if they're in on a little thing and they think it's not, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Because notice how naturally Sadako is working into this conversation.
Yep.
Which I think is meant to get us to reinterrogate how we feel about seeing people in some scenes. Because, if they're sharing a secret, of course they would act like that. Maybe say if someone was in with Shion and wanted to give Shion the deniability of offering to show the tattoo on her back, but stopping her before she could have to do it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, right, Rena? Rena?
Keiichi-kun did really well considering it was his first challenge, I think maybe everyone should rate his a little higher. But for the showdown, it doesn't matter. All right, Kei-chan, if you have any last words before we tally up the results, I'll listen to them now.
What do you mean by last words? I have a play you could make. Reveal that it was made by Sadako. And then look over at Okamura and Tomita-kun.
I mean that you might be hoping for a few extra points if you appeal somehow to the crowd. After all, for today's showdown, you just need to avoid coming in last. If you do well enough, then maybe you'll be able to worm out of the punishment game.
You're implying that Keiichi-san's bento is going to take last place, aren't you?
No, this old man wasn't trying to say anyone's bento came in last or anything.
Mion cackled repulsively. In contrast, Sadako's smile was growing somehow awkward. All right, this bento was filled with last night's side dishes. That means it was basically a bento that Sadako made, and Mion outright said it would come in last place.
Mi-chan, aren't you being a little mean? Poor Keiichi-kun. Rena, Kei-chan knew he couldn't lose today's bento showdown beforehand, didn't he? He did all that grandstanding yesterday, well aware of that. I don't think there's any reason to go easy on him, do you? Right, Sadako?
Oh, yeah. You're right. And he came here with this mess. It makes me laugh.
Wait, Sadako-chan. You can't laugh at him.
My God, but that bento is just so ridiculous. I can't help but laugh. Oh, these side dishes look like they were bought from a shop. It's really disillusioning.
Look, this one was just taken out of a can, wasn't it? This cucumber here isn't cut cleanly, like the knife didn't go all the way through.
Mion! Who the fuck pissed in your coffee this morning?
I ate Keiichi yesterday.
Okay, you know what? Actually, yes, Keiichi yesterday did piss in her coffee this morning. I was okay. You know what? Keiichi was asking for it a little bit. I was gonna be like,
Keiichi is absolutely asking for this treatment. It's just that unfortunately, he's not the one actually receiving it.
yep.
Kei-chan, you never used a knife, did you? Your lack of experience is apparent.
No, this goes beyond a simple lack of experience.
And look at how Sadako's covering for her.
Yeah. The presentation is fairly monotonous as well. It's almost a shock to see such a lack of taste. Ha 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 ha.
Ugh, it's my first experience putting food into a bento box, so of course it's not going to look too good. I'm so unused to that part of it. Like, I love that the visual presentation is a part of like how you make a bento. But like when I was in middle school, I had like a lunch box. Or like one of those refrigerated lunch bags.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, or not refrigerated, insulated. And all the stuff was just kind of in there.
Yeah.
In little Tupperware containers.
Kei-chan, there's a bigger problem than how you put it into the box. Tomita, Okamura, explain, please.
Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun were chosen from our many underclassmen. Tomita-kun quickly adjusted his glasses and took a step forward.
The fatal flaw in Maebara-san's bento. It's the coloration. You know, there are 3 primary colors forming the basis of all colors, so if you want a well-balanced color scheme, then excluding white and black, you really need those 3 colors.
And nevertheless, if you remove the white and black from Maebara-san's bento, all that would be left is dark green.
Oh, dark green. I don't want to eat if you describe it like that. I had forgotten. Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun had been bought out by Rika-chan and Sadako, so they were trying their hardest to let them win and make me lose, weren't they? But of course, all the while, Sadako's the one who's really on the...
Yeah.
Oh. I wonder if this is an example of something that might have come up at another point or might come up later.
As soon as you're like, oh, Sadako's just catching strays over here last chapter, and then this chapter kicks off, and that's exactly what we're watching happen here.
I wonder how much of all the other stuff we've heard talking about gets back to Sadako and makes her feel like this. Because I wonder if it's not just this, but this is like the illustrative example, right, of other stuff that people say getting back, somehow going, like, what does Sadako hear or know that makes her take these things differently? Ugh, what strong wills they have. It was charming if only because they were working so hard despite having been bought out.
The side dishes have no spirit in them either. They're all prepackaged or canned food.
In other words, out of the 3 necessary requirements for a bento, love, spirit, and taste, we can assert that Maebara-san's bento is lacking 2 of these.
The classroom, convinced by the elucidation of the mystery they were thoroughly baffled with, raised mysterious groans of admiration.
Mysterious groans of admiration is such a funny turn of phrase.
That's really good. It's a good turnip phrase.
Yeah, it is a good turnip phrase. No heart and no spirit. It's decided then. Keiichi Maebara. This may sound cold, but If you realized how much fun cooking is because of all this, Keiichi-kun, isn't that enough? Enough?
Well, read the votes.
In any case, everything is fine as long as I'm not doing the punishment game.
Rena was giving a dry smile as well.
It's been settled, Keiichi-san. You're going to be the one doing the punishment game.
She laughed. She laughed in such a vile manner, but she didn't look like she meant it. I knew Sadako was speaking ill of a bento she'd practically made herself in front of the whole classroom, and I could tell how painful that laughter was. Okamura-kun said before that his bento lacked spirit, but among all the bento laid out here today, there wasn't a single one with as much spirit as this one. This meal that she made for me yesterday in such a good mood, though it looked like she was in a bad one. I won't let it end with this slander.
Well then, last place, Keiichi-san. Please admit your honest defeat already.
Could you wait for just a moment? When I began to speak in a low voice, the expressions of all the members of the club changed. Mion clicked her tongue. This man was baring his fangs at the last moment again. My bento was defeated because it lacked spirit. That's how you explained it, right? Am I wrong, Okamura-kun? Okamura-kun, who had suddenly been placed in the spotlight, looked flustered for a moment, but immediately he stammered in reply that I was right. How do you measure spirit? By difficulty? By effort? By sweat or tears? By its manifestation? And how would you rate these burns that are still on my hands?
Wow, Keiichi-kun, those are oil burns?
Oh, great. The burn marks from when I almost caused a fire yesterday looked like I was just having a ton of trouble cooking. I could clearly tell the classroom was forced to acknowledge all the effort I put into it. Wow, what a convincing story with misleading evidence.
Not like we've seen anything like that going on.
There's certainly no lesson to take away here.
I see. To turn your failures into cooking due to lack of skill into scars of hard work instead. I was like, oh wait, who is this?
As I thought, I cannot falter around this man.
That's right, I lack skill. I'm so bad at cooking, my grandstanding yesterday was pitiful. But I didn't run away. I fought, and I delivered these results. Is that not spirit? What do you think?
Rena wants to acknowledge it. Nobody can keep on going if their defiant spirit doesn't get valued.
The girls in the class started to nod in agreement. All right, the tables are turning. But Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun, bite out by the objects of their unrequited affection, weren't about to lose either. They shifted to the counterattack, clearly exceeding the price they were paid.
I say, I understand your feelings, Maebara-san. However, if the spirit was all that mattered to cooking, the world wouldn't need chefs.
That's right. If a chef brought you burned steak and they said they put their spirit into it and tried hard, would you pay them? You wouldn't, would you?
Oh.
It's the same thing.
That's right, that's how it goes. The male students took Tomita and Okamura's side. They did have a point. What about consideration? Even if you did get a totally black steak, if I knew how much the mother who made it struggled, I would eat it. I would eat it all. Clap, 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 clap. This time, the female students of the class took my side. Good. Why are we making this about gender again? I know, let's make this all about gender for the first half and then just forget it later on, right? Now we're even. Besides, a bento is a refinement of one's love given form.
It only means something when the other person feels that way. Does your bento make us feel that way, Maebara-san? No, it doesn't make us feel that way.
You're mean!
The girls in the class began to boo loudly at this remark, and even Okamura-san was panicking.
Order. Will the spectators please refrain from making remarks?
Your Honor, in order to prove how much my spirit has gone into this bento, I call Miss Ryugu Rena, an authority in the culinary arts, to the stand.
Rena thinks this bento has spirit in it. It might be rather artless in places, but I think cooking isn't just about outward appearances.
The girls in the class again gave cries of support as they all applauded. In response, all the men in the class began to boo. Your Honor, the opinions of Maebara...
Your Honor, the opinions of Maebara-san and Ryugu-san are extremely sentimental and aren't in following with common sense. They are unsuitable to use as evidence. Order. The prosecution's objection is sustained. Go ahead.
let's replace the bento in question with the birthday present, for example. Let's say on my birthday, I, Tomita...
Oh, whoops. Whatever. They're interchangeable.
Yeah, I don't remember which one.
Received a hand-knitted sweater. And he, Okamura, whose voice I'm speaking in, received a bookstore gift certificate for 10,000 yen.
Damn. That'd get you like 3 1/3 hardcovers.
That felt strangely real. Was it actually just an example? Common sense dictates which of them has the spirit. It is, of course, the hand-knitted sweater. If you went back to the bento, this would be handmade side dishes. And the gift certificate, which is nothing more than money, allows you to buy things. In other words, it's the same as simple, meaningless canned goods. The boys and girls all began to argue amongst themselves about presents. They were all talking about what they received as presents in the past. God damn it. Tomita-kun, he changed the subject to something that could easily grab everyone's attention. Not bad. I'll lose the initiative at this rate.
When are we going to get the Ace Attorney? Oh, here it is. Literally. Okay.
Objection! Second time I got to do that in that voice. This matter regards the spirit put into the bento. It is entirely different from birthday presents, as they are each unique situations.
Overruled. Will the prosecution please continue?
Damn. Now then, what's important here is the fact that the spirit of the giver and the spirit of the receiver are totally different. Between the handmade sweater that looks like a bit askew and the 10,000 yen bookstore gift certificate placed here before your very eyes, which would you say is the better choice? Oh, the gift certificate, right? It's 10,000 yen. 10,000. Can you calculate how many comic books you could buy with that? You could instantly complete a full collection if it was around 10 volumes long. Dozens of happy, humorous manga. The bliss of your soothed heart can't be compared to the sweater.
Oh, wait. There was no opening quotation mark. I thought this was Keiichi's internal monologue.
Me too.
I sounded like Keiichi for a moment. The boys unanimously praised that with applause. Materialistic brats. Ugh, but all guys at that age are like that. Even I would choose the gift certificate over the sweater in that case.
Again, all guys that we keep bringing up so many things in this game that focus around gender, especially at this age, and yet we also just kind of jettison it as soon as murders start happening. Anyway, why does that make Ren a trans? Answer that question in the comment section below.
Hey, wait, weren't you guys the ones who said it was about love, spirit, and taste right at the start? Since when did taste trump all? That's the stance they were taking now. I believe this has demonstrated the spirit of the giver and the spirit of the receiver have no causal relationship. Yes, no matter how much Maebara's son struggled to make this bento. That cannot enter into consideration for the rest of us on the receiving end. Mere sophistry, Tomita-kun. It has plenty of spirit. Whether that gets through or not is the receiver's problem.
That's right.
Boo.
Taste is most important.
Enemy of women.
What are we? What was that?
Now the courtroom was in chaos. I can't allow myself to lose. And not only to avoid the punishment game, but also to protect Sadako's honor.
And this was after the first Ace Attorney games came out, but so.
Now then. Do the defendants have a response to give?
Slowly and strongly, I nod and step up to the dais. Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun, do you two really think you could beat me with mere words?
Keiichi, with a -3 to charisma, somehow rolls a nat 20.
I don't think Keiichi has a -3 to charisma at all.
You know what? That's fair. He lacks in what one would traditionally associate with the charisma stat, which is to say, like, you know, one would normally associate good looks or, like, really, really comically over-the-top persuasiveness. But he is persuasive, just in a way that's, like, really hard to kind of get around sometimes. He's like a can opener. He'll keep going until he gets what he wants out of you.
He's persuasive. He's a bit of a class clown, a little bit, in terms of over-the-top reactions. He's well-liked by people in general that he meets. He has 2 girls his age hanging off him. Like, charisma is his highest stat.
Fair. You know what? Fair. I take it back. That is a convincing argument.
I think that wisdom might be his dump stat.
Okay. I can see that. The prosecution just said we should value the gift without basing it on the spirit of the giver. Correct! At some point, I began speaking formally.
Yes, that's my... No matter how much you labor to make that bento, that labor should not factor into our grading.
Then I have a question for the prosecution. If I, Maebara, were to take the bento I made for today and place it beside one bought from the store, would both of these be given the same score? The prosecution hesitated to speak. Got you! That's right! A convenience store bento doesn't even come close to a homemade one. No matter how badly made it is, it has far more spirit than a bento you just bought would ever have. You see, that spirit is being graded, meaning the spirit the cook put into the bento has already reached the recipients. Admit it! Boom! With those impactful words drawn in the air behind me, I pointed my finger. The girls, led by Rena, broke into applause. Some of the boys were admitting it too. Ugh, I'll admit it. You admitted it. You admitted it, right? Then let's move to why a convenience store bento has no spirit in it. What exactly is the spirit in a bento in the first place?
Objection. My Maebara-san is trying to deceive the court by using abstract expressions. Objection overruled. This sounds interesting, so listen until he's done.
Got him. Now I'll show you the difference between us. Your Honor, I'd like to call Miss Rika Furude to the stand as a witness.
Meep.
Even for Rika-chan, that must have seemed like a bolt from the blue. There's no doubt she never dreamed that the point of my spear would be aiming at her. But Rika-chan, you said it before. For the showdown, it doesn't matter. Rika Furude-san, your bento today was very well made. It looks delicious.
Meep.
Yes, Sadako and Rika-chan's bentos had been made of half of Tomita-kun's and Okamura-kun's. The prosecutor's faces turned pale, but they were too late. Rena, would you bring Okamura-kun's bento over here?
Okay, sure.
Your Honor, my bento has no relevance to this case.
Overruled.
Your Honor, I submit Okamura-kun's bento box as evidence. Look at it! Look at what's inside!
There's only half in there.
It's not about whether there's only half. Please look a little more closely. Do you see?
They're exactly the same.
Your Honor, you've seen it. Miss Rika Furude's bento was stolen from Okamura's. There's no way such a thing could have spirited it.
Oh, but that's just a coincidence.
It's already obvious. Spirit, it's a game of catch between the giver and the receiver. The bento box then is the ball. That bento was something Okamura-kun was given from mother to son. That means Okamura-kun is the only one who can feel the spirit from this bento box. Now it's been disturbed and stolen. It no longer has that spirit. Dun dun dun! Yay, that did it!
Huh? What? Is that true? Rika-chan, is that true? Meep. Nipa.
Fair enough. Hard counter.
This usually works.
True combo. Nipa.
I see how it is.
Mio, the judge, folded her arms and began to hum. I couldn't even take a guess as to what she was laughing about. Frankly, I didn't know whether I would win or lose.
Okay, before announcing my judgment, I'll start from the top.
Wait, why do you get to judge it? I thought it was the class, everyone.
That was just for fun.
Oh, this is her judgment in this case, I see. The entire classroom quieted.
First, from an objective standpoint, there is no doubt that the bento of the accused, Keiichi Maebara, must be seen as poorly made. This is something that the grading results clearly display.
Ugh.
But as Kei-chan said, cooking is not all about taste. The spirit put into it should be considered subtle seasoning. For grading, though, that would only amount to a few points. It's so subtle that it's not enough to alter the results. Now then, I'd like to mention the original reason for today's bento showdown. What was the reason for it?
That's right. We started to see whether the accused Keiichi Maebara could cook for himself.
That's right. We started it to see whether the accused Keiichi Maebara could cook for himself and to measure the result. Yeah, that's right. Keiichi-kun did make his own bento.
Ugh, that stung my conscience a bit, but for the showdown, it didn't matter.
So, the whole basis behind this showdown was to cook a meal for yourself. In other words, whether or not the meal was homemade. Rika-chan neglecting to do that is a much bigger problem than how good her bento is. In other words... Oh, wait. This is somebody else, isn't it?
It still looks like it's...
In other words, is she disqualified? Nipa,
Rika-chan let out a...
Nipa.
looking as though she had prepared herself for this outcome. Don't take it personally, Rika-chan. At our club, things like that don't matter, right?
Keiichi did well, like I thought. You tried your hardest until the very end.
Rika-chan demanded I lower my head, and then she petted. And also, notice the classiness of her, not revealing what she knows in return.
Yeah. With that over with, this case is closed. Today, last place goes to Rika Furude.
Whoa! That miraculous turnaround! That miraculous turnabout! And last place went to Rika-chan, the one everyone had least expected. The whole classroom went wild.
I have really complicated feelings about all of this. Amazed you managed to avoid coming in last place with such a terrible bento.
Sadako looked at me hatefully, but spoke in a vague kind of voice. There's no way I'd come in last. There's nothing in this bento that would deserve last place. Aww, Keiichi. That's really sweet of you, actually. Making sure that Sadako knows that, like, just because whatever else is going on, that it's like, aww, Keiichi. Keiichi, you did good. Give him a pat on the back. You did good, Keiichi.
Bad at cooking, good at rolling charisma checks.
But it's all poorly made side dishes and canned goods, has no style and no grace. This bento has a funny face.
Grab. Sadako was speaking more and more poorly of herself as time went on, so I roughly grabbed her head and began to stroke it. I told you, spirit is important. This bento isn't all about appearance. It's got all kinds of flavors in it.
But spirit isn't the only thing. It tastes totally weird and...
What about it is weird? I thought it was great. It was absolutely great, and that's why I packed it. If dinner last night had been bad, I would have never brought it to school. I would have come here with some bread and a milk carton.
But I feel really bad about myself and feel the need to put myself down.
I know, and I'll be here to make sure that you can't do that. Oh, just shut up already. I caressed her head, swinging it from side to side. At some point, Retta had come up behind us. She was giggling to herself. That was the face of someone who had known everything from the beginning. Oh, really? She'd known everything from the beginning.
I've been here the whole time.
When did you realize I hadn't made it?
When you showed us your burns, I guess. I mean, there's nothing in your bento that you needed oil for.
Renaissance, don't you think you're misunderstanding something? I didn't do anything.
Huh? Sadako-chan, you weren't the one who made this bento. Then did Keiichi-kun make it by himself after all? Okay, then I guess he did.
Oh, is that the story we're going with? All right, I suppose I can go along with that. Sure.
No usoda this time around.
Rena smiled roguishly and turned from Sadako to me.
When you cut cucumbers, you hold the knife like this and go like this.
Can you please just come over and give me a cooking lesson, please?
As for the colors, you can express all sorts of things if you place vegetables in the right way.
I resent the idea that you have to have vegetables of all colors. Most of the most delicious vegetables are just green, and that's fine. Also, vegetables don't exist.
Counterpoint, orange vegetables are good.
Sure.
We always have carrots around.
Yeah, but vegetables don't exist.
True.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have a comeback for that because
You're right.
That's a factual statement.
Vegetables don't
There
exist,
is no
so
such
how
thing as
could
vegetables.
vegetables express all sorts of things?
Right. If how is the sentence vegetables can express all sorts of things intelligible if vegetables don't exist? QED, don't argue with me because there are some really easy things you could say back to that. This lecture was clearly not meant for me.
But you've gotten a lot better since the last time you showed us. I see you've been studying. If you keep this up, I bet you'll be able to make better and better dishes in no time.
She continued saying words that clearly meant for Sadako while facing me instead. Sadako was wearing an ambiguous look and couldn't even nod her head at her.
Anyway, no matter what anyone says,
Anyway, no matter what anyone says, I like the way my bento is today. I'm not gonna share it with anyone else either. Haha, screw all you. I'm gonna eat the whole thing myself.
Wow, how greedy. Rena wants to try some too.
As we were going back and forth, Sadako rubbed her eyes as though she was drowsy and then announced to Mion and everyone else.
Excuse me. The truth is, I got Tomita-san to give me some of his bento.
Stupid. Oh, that's Tomita.
Stupid. Hojo, what are you saying?
If she kept it a secret, then at least she would have been saved, but Tomita-kun looked at her with an expression filled with regret and surprise.
Huh? Is that true? Really? Oh my.
Mion spun her finger around and pointed to the hallway, sentencing Sadako to the punishment game as well. Sadako left the classroom behind her, completely prepared as though she was going with Rika-chan on an errand.
I can't let Rika go alone. I will accompany her to the very depths of hell.
I feel like there's one to frame and put on the wall. If we were ever to get a good encapsulation of Sadako's ethos.
Yeah.
She will never let Rika go alone, even if that means following her into the depths of hell. Sadako will, if Rika says this is what needs to be done in order for things to be peaceful, if Rika says to Sadako, I need to go murk the person pretending to be Mion right now, Sadako would be like, okay, if you say so, Rika.
Gee, I wonder if this will come into play at some point. It
Oh,
doesn't seem
God.
likely.
This chapter is going to be heartbreaking. Don't do this to my gremlin. Don't do this to my gremlin.
You don't need to go that far.
My word, Keiichi-san really is terrible too. Humiliating only Rika like that. He truly is a rotten person.
I didn't mean I couldn't just return Sadako's kindness with malice.
Hey, Sadako really is silly.
Rika-chan spoke so that only I could hear, grinning happily.
Now then, let us be off, Rika. Punishment games are one of our duties as club members.
Sadako seemed really awfully happy, not frustrated in the slightest, like she always was when she lost. Damn, Rika-chan's right after all. Everyone here is a moron. I'm also getting some more insight to like Sadako. Again, kind of like what she puts on her incredible front. She is really good at being personable and happy around people. But we noticed it as soon as Keiichi was out of the picture in the first couple chapters, right? How she immediately starts to kind of withdraw and get sadder.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're to take the scene as what it's kind of telling us about her as a character, she really is dealing with a lot of that weight on her. She probably is really feeling that title of cursed child a lot more than she lets on. If she's if she's really kind of got that negative self-image going on, I imagine Rika's got to be constantly reminding her that, you know, she's not that person and that she's loved in here. I have to imagine that the only way we'd get Sadako to wind up being a murderer for a chapter is if somehow both Rika and Keiichi were out of the picture. If we are to believe that this is the chapter that does its best to frame Sadako as a murderer, or does its best to create the circumstances for Sadako to become a murderer, then both Rika and Keiichi won't be there to stop her. I don't think Mion or Rena alone would be enough. Oh, that's horrifying to think about. I'm just gonna sit here and think about that for a while. Mion, I'll come clean as well. I didn't make my bento today either. I was the same, so I'm going with them for the punishment game.
Huh?
Did anyone play my game?
Even you, Kei-chan? What's going on? Good luck with the punishment game, I mean. I'll get the first aid kit ready.
Call an ambulance in advance, will you? But not for me. And maybe a hearse, just in case. Leaving a bewildered Mion and a happily smiling Rena behind the classroom, I went to the hallway.
What are you doing? You finally won for once. I had no idea you had such an odd taste for these punishment games. You'd go so far as to volunteer yourself for one.
Why didn't you say the other part where Sadako made yours and therefore Sadako shouldn't lose? I guess so. It's a little much for a hobby, huh?
I swear. I think you're underestimating this one. We're one thing, but grave harm might actually befall you, Keiichi-san. Hope you're ready to have 1 or 2 ribs broken.
Ugh, that sounds like it'll hurt. I don't like getting hurt.
Keiichi-san, you just stand there and nod along, okay? Rika and I will smooth it over. I swear. I can't believe I have to look after you even during punishment games. Seriously. Ugh.
I already knew that her pouty behavior was a sign she was actually in a really good mood. Oh, no, but now you're... Oh, no. Oh, no. The way this goes wrong is that, like, in kind of learning to understand how Sadako communicates in, like, times like this, there's going to be times where she's trying to earnestly communicate that she is distressed and in a bad mood, and Keiichi's going to misread that. This is the one and the only problem with the tsundere archetype. There are no other problems with the tsundere archetype. But when Sadako starts showing that she is in real, or like is actually in real distress, and not just the normal stuff she's used to smiling through, right?
Mm-hmm.
Keiichi's gonna be misreading that. Oh no. Fuck. I hope I'm wrong about all the ways in which this chapter goes poorly. I know it's gonna go poorly for my gremlin, but I don't want it to go poorly in this manner. So it made me want to smile. Hello? I do want to eat some vegetable stir fry. Sadako, can you make that?
What? There's nothing I can't do if I put my mind to it, so...
She can make it very well. I really like Sadako's stir fry.
I make stir fry too.
Yeah.
Stir fry is really fun and easy, actually. Like, the hardest part about it is like what you commit to being the protein. The only reason it takes us so long to cook stir fry is because we have to we manually fry our tofu beforehand, which is delicious and worth it. But like, that's the most time consuming thing. Other than that, even if you just want to use like frozen vegetables or something, you can make yourself a delicious meal.
Yeah.
Get a wok. That's official APR stance. Get a wok. She was uneasy at first, but once she got assurance from Rika-chan, she turned back and looked at me with once more confident eyes. It's settled then. Let's go shopping for stuff after school today, all right? I don't really have any idea what to buy after all.
That is true, isn't it? I think it's still too early for you to go shopping at the supermarket, Keiichi-san. Make me anxious if I wasn't watching.
Is this one Rika?
This is Rika, yeah.
And Sadako makes me anxious that she'll buy the wrong thing if I'm not watching.
Rika!
Meep.
Oh, no.
Family outing.
Oh, yeah, that's cute. And the way this is going to go poorly is that in other chapters, Sadako clearly saw Keiichi as a surrogate brother figure, but he wasn't really leading into it, right? In this one, Rika has actively encouraged him to lean into it.
And he is very much doing so.
And he's very much doing so. To Keiichi's credit, Keiichi is being a really nice brother figure for Sadako, which is something that she needs, but also is likely to be one of those things but also means that Keiichi is now placing himself as one of those key pillars of support for Sadako, is the other thing. So again, if something happens to him or Rika, or heaven forbid both, there's... now if something happens to Keiichi, that means it's going to affect Sadako really heavily, because someone who's clearly not well mentally at the moment, she, friends got to be around for her to help her out.
Imagine that. Your brother transfers out and vanishes, and then your friend that you lean on but who couldn't be a surrogate brother to you vanishes, and then your surrogate brother that you've now acquired vanishes. That would hit pretty hard if it happened, wouldn't it?
Yup. Oh no. I really hope I'm wrong. But I think now after 2 chapters and kind of seeing like the general shape of things, unless there's going to be a hard left turn in here somewhere, I think that might be where this goes.
Only one
If
way
I
to
was
find
going,
out.
if I was going to write a Sadako chapter, knowing what I do right now, that's how I would go about it. And of course, she's going to start talking about. Of course, the way I would write it is I would lean into like her talking about the voices in her head, maybe, and like leaning into her being the cursed child, and while that curse might sound malicious from the outside, is really just describing her own depressed internal state of affairs that she's taking on at everyone else. Oh. The conversation had continued as we walked until we arrived before the door to the teacher's lounge. All right, let's get this punishment game over with and discuss the menu for tonight.
Me?
How'd you do that? Rika-chan gleefully grabbed onto my arm. In turn, I pulled Sadako to me, grabbing her shoulder with my other hand. We'll all be together in death. I won't let anyone die alone. Oh, no.
We're all together. I won't let anybody die alone.
I like the one thing she omitted there. I won't let anyone die alone. Rika, already going out single-handedly to trying to take care of Shion. Oh no! Let's hope things don't go as well as they did last time.
Do you think Ryukishio 7 would really foreshadow
that things won't go as well as they did last? I'm gonna need you to acknowledge this before I move on.
That was actually very good. I just wasn't paying attention. Thank you for pressing on that one.
You're welcome.
What an indiscreet thing to say. I want no part in something so disturbing.
She may have sounded annoyed, but she was so happy it was gonna make me blush. See? And now it's already locked in Keiichi. Sadako looking angry, that must mean Sadako's happy. And that's... It's why being playfully mean with someone is such a, like... I won't say it's a fucked up way to have a friendship, because friendships are different, but it's why you can't do that with someone that you, like... You can't do that and shouldn't do that with someone you don't already have a friendship or understanding with.
Yep.
Right? Because the kind of relationship where you are able to like say one thing and mean another and like give off all those signals and then still be understood requires a very deep level of intimacy and understanding. Right? And even like between us, even when we do it, we're still afterwards like, wait, you were really talking like this, right? Just to me. Because we're both like got bad brain syndrome. But Keiichi has only been trying this for 2 days. He's already mastered it, though, and I'm sure this will not go poorly. All right, just beyond this door is the world after death. However, we shall return. All of us will.
Yes, sir. Everyone will. Then let us sally forth.
Slam! We opened the doorway to the world of death. And like she did every day, just as the sun rose in the eastern sky, Chie-sensei was eating curry for lunch. It was store-bought, but she made a point of eating a different brand every day. Oh my! Maebara-kun, Furude-san, and Hojo-san. Is something the matter? Interesting that she refers to Sadako as Hojo-san. Furude-san makes sense, because she's a community elder, right? But why Maebara-kun and then Hojo-san?
I don't know.
Am I reading too much into the honorifics? I might be.
I don't know enough about how honorifics tend to be used to make a judgment as to whether that's weird.
Fair enough. Is something the matter? She appeared to be in the middle of a moment of supreme bliss, her mouth full of her beloved curry, and we were to pick a fight with her. What a crime this punishment game would be. However, it is what we had to do, for that was the rule of our club. And I love that philosophy that as long as it's a rule, you should always do it no matter how stupid you know it to be.
As long as you're doing a bit, you have to commit to it and follow through. Damn the consequences.
Actually, in real life, we're kind of the opposite of that now. Instead of like following through with our bits, we'll sit there and just and quickly decide between one another, if this bit goes on to its logical conclusion, which one of us is actually going to be on the losing side of it? Is it the one threatening to do the bit, or is it the one the bit is being done to? Because it's like, okay, if your bit is, I want to put sriracha in my coffee, I'll just sit here and be like, okay, why would I stop you from doing that? You're gonna have a bad coffee. Okay,
but what if it's
go
good?
ahead, commit to it, do it.
Just for that, we're going to have a taste testing.
No, I've done this to myself. Actually, you know what?
But you
I won't
haven't.
have to taste test it.
That's the thing.
You said
you
wanted
haven't
to.
done this to yourself. I've done this to myself.
I was gonna say exactly, but the rule is like that's the thing is that I won't have to actually taste it. If you want this bit to go off, you're gonna have to commit to it hard enough to actually taste coffee with sriracha sauce in it. So yeah, sure, all right, let's do this.
I feel like it could be good. You know, like how you get the spicy hot chocolate that has the cinnamon and the
Yeah, but
spices
that's also
in?
with like a whole bunch of other flavors involved. You're just talking about regular coffee. Out of
Okay,
the
but
AeroPress
sriracha
in
has a
sriracha.
bunch of flavors involved. It's not just hot. It's got like some sour tanginess. It's got that garlicky undertones. And coffee, when you think about it, it has a kind of rich, earthy
Here's the
flavor
thing.
to it, like chocolate does. You can even make it sweet.
Here's the thing, is that those things are all true, and yet go ahead and try it and see how you feel.
Oh, yeah. It's going to suck, but it could work.
The three of us held each other's shoulders tightly once more. All right, let's do this. Are you ready?
What do you mean, ready? Keiichi-san, you're going to stay quiet. Rick and I will handle everything, and trust your life to me for now.
Go for it. Yay.
What are you all doing? We could see 2 or 3 question marks popping up above the teacher's head. All right, Sadako, this is the only time I'll trust you with my life, because I'll be shutting my eyes tightly and only thinking about what we'll be having for dinner, and leaving it to you. Sadako inhaled deeply. And so...
Hey, you over there. You stuck-up curry snob. You're single because you smell like garlic.
What the fuck? Sadako, what? Sadako, what?
Instantly 0 to 100 aggro. They could have got out of this scot-free by Rika just cutely saying something negative about curry.
And then following
it
it up
wouldn't
with-
even register because she'd just say nipa and it would immediately like, oh, so precocious, so adorable. But no, they chose hard mode. They
Sadako
chose
goes for the
violence.
jugular. Why does she even know to like insult that particular part of her personality? What does that say about Sadako's home life and her parent figures? Remember, kids, teachers assaulting their students is funny, actually. In the end, my selfish request was readily granted. As Sadako muttered complaints under her breath, quite merrily, she came with me to the store. Rika-chan didn't come with us. She said she had a thing she wanted to do, or something. I believed her when she told me, but when I really thought about it, I started to think maybe she was being considerate towards Sadako in her own way. Without Rika-chan here, Sadako was prouder and more loquacious than ever. Oh no! Yeah, this is... Yep, absolutely.
Oh, hey. Look. Cup noodles.
Well, actually, the other 2 chapters before this were focused on characters that you voiced, so... I guess we were due for a chapter of SK talking to SK.
Don't you understand? Supermarkets will put things on sale when it gets near closing time. For example, you can't have a stir fry without some pork. If you wait a little longer, it'll be marked half off. They can't sell meat or fish once it's not fresh anymore, so they make it all cheaper in a last-ditch effort to not have anything left over. Of course, every veteran housewife is familiar with this concept. And when we get close to happy hour, like we are now...
I wasn't really listening to her, but she was telling me all this quite proudly. Oh, Sadako. Every time I seemed surprised at something or made an affirmative grunt in place of conversation, Sadako would say,
You don't know anything, do you, Keiichi-san?
and smile very happily in spite of her complaints. She led me to by the hand to all sorts of stalls, one after the other. This sounds so precious. Holy shit. Game, you were gonna... Don't do this to me. Don't do this. Don't give me this really sweet Keiichi and Sadako found family shit and then make Sadako murder people. I'm gonna be so sad.
I've done nothing wrong.
Here's the thing. On my theory for this, Sadako still does nothing wrong. She was such a supreme mood that just being with her cheered me up.
She was in such a supreme mood. We need a Photoshop of Sadako decked out in supreme.
All right, you know what to do, honey. All I'm saying is, SK, when you get to this point of editing, make sure to bother Vivian for Sadako in a supreme mood. That just being with her cheered me up. Merely being pulled into Sadako's pace was a lot of fun. Hey, why don't we just go with the economy size pack? There's a real good looking one with cheese in it over here.
Keiichi-san, you have no financial sense. Look at this. It's over our budget. We don't have enough money.
Sadako pushed a handful of receipts in my face. Pfft. Why can't Sadako do these kinds of mental calculations when she's at school? Also, she's already concerned about how much money they're spending. Her and Rika, huh? How are her and Rika getting the money to keep on going anyway?
Temple donation box.
Are they fucking Reimu Hakureing their way through life? Hey, Rika, we need you to solve an incident. Thanks for saving all of Hinamizawa. Maybe we'll throw you some money sometime. I mean, she probably has some money left over from her parents.
Yeah.
And she, has the land the temple is on and all that. And probably some amount of community responsibility felt towards her, as she is, one of their community leader. But, where is the money they need to live coming from? This is a really important question. And Sadako is clearly used to, keeping track of what they spend and stuff. When we were both working retail and had a lot harder time making ends meet. When we went out grocery shopping, we would have to do this kind of thing as well and be what's the cheaper option? What are we willing to spend a little bit extra on? We've spent too much this week on groceries. We need to cut stuff off. You know what I mean? I'm... Ugh. Sadako. This is going to be 30% me reading the chapter and 70% me talking about Sadako.
Or food.
Or food. One of the two. Why can't Sadako to do these kinds of mental calculations when she's at school? Oh, Tret. Should we buy a load of the normal ones or buy fewer of the better stuff with cheese in it? This is quite troubling.
Calm down. For boys at your age, it's wiser to choose quantity over quality.
Ugh, Sadako, you're being too strict. A man's heart desires both quality and quantity. Why can't you understand that?
No matter the size of a man's heart, his wallet won't be any bigger. I swear. Stop clinging to the glass so stubbornly.
I'm trying not to read into her family dynamic from every single comment she makes, but it's getting real hard when stuff like that's coming out of a kid's mouth. After enjoying ourselves in such an exchange, we started to hear energetic voices coming from over by the butcher we visited earlier. See a handful of housewives flooding the place.
Oh no! If we don't hurry, all the half-off pork will be gone!
Ow, 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 don't pull me. Don't pull at my neck. I like to imagine that during this, they've got a shopping cart, and Keiichi has Sadako up on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And the only way Sadako knows to direct him is by gently pulling on his hair or something.
Keiichi! Keiichi! This is the only way I can see everything.
Sadako really seemed like she was having fun. She looked like a kid who grabbed her family's hands while running towards an amusement park attraction. In the end, the bag of pork we obtained was so normal it almost hurt, but I knew it would taste absolutely delicious. Outside at some point, the cicadas had been replaced by the Higurashi as chorus. The air was so clear and it felt so good. Our silhouettes stretching out on the ground made for a really wonderful picture. We'd filled our bicycle baskets to the brim with our shopping bags. They only contained ingredients and various other foodstuffs. Even so, every last thing packed in them sort of looked really happy. It made me feel happy in turn. Going shopping for dinner seems pretty sensible too. You should really enjoy your meals. I can't wait to eat.
That's part of cooking for yourself as well. Dinner starts while you're shopping for it. Unless you live in an era where you can't go to the supermarket for some reason. I wouldn't know what that's like, though. Could you imagine not being able to shop on your own because no one wears a fucking mask anymore?
Yes, I'm so excited for this. Vegetable stir-fry isn't even my mom's cookbook. I never get to eat it unless we go out to a Chinese place, so I'm really looking forward to trying it today.
That is indeed a pity. And today I'll present you an especially tasty dish. By which I mean it'll be very normal, but you know.
Normally right about now was the time I would start messing with her, but I didn't. Yeah, I bet you'll end up making something really great. I'm really looking forward to it, Sadako.
I don't know how to handle it when we're not negging each other.
I can't. Could you say that in a way that sounds like you're mocking me, please?
She stammered for a second, although then learning how to use that to mock them instead by making them feel good. See, that's the positive version of it. Make your friends uncomfortable by telling how much you appreciate them. Don't overdo it, just say positive things that are true. Don't let the negative thoughts burrow in. Sadako had been prepared for me to start making fun of her right then too, and when it didn't come, she was surprised. Maybe she stammered for some other reason, I don't really know, but I immediately knew she wasn't feeling anything bad.
Yes, I'll deliver an extraordinarily delectable dish. Better look forward to it.
As Sadako and I rode back on our bikes, I had a thought. Was I this sort of person? Until now, I would have lashed back at Sadako right away if she did something to me. That was the kind of relationship we had, after all. We would poke at each other a little to kick up a storm while nitpicking at one another. At some point, that had changed. We weren't playing our usual tit for tat. I didn't provoke her, so we didn't fight. That went for Sadako, too. Sadako, who I thought I knew, hadn't been like this until now. Our relationship was changing little by little. And that's what it felt like. But it wasn't something I had to worry about. It was like our relationship had become a little bit happier. A little more charming. I wonder why we changed like this. Was she lonely and projecting her older brother Satoshi, who hadn't returned home, onto me? Rika-chan told me about that yesterday. It was probably exactly it. Now that the game said it exactly like that, I'm like, wait, am I wrong then? But no, here's the thing. We know R07 explicitly plays with that reaction. The fact that I came up with it before the game said it, I'm sticking to my guns here. My actions drew closer to Satoshi. Sadako's turning to how she'd been when she was living happily with her brother. I don't know if it's that follows, but we don't know that she was living well. From our impression, we get the impression she was living happily with her brother, but I guess I don't see any reason to challenge that yet. But I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be the case. In other words, this Sadako was the real Sadako. Ooh, that's an interesting thing. Sadako had been able to see her brother again and had finally gone back to normal. Okay, so nope. Sidebar. We're talking about this.
Yeah?
Because the whole part of the game has been about how people are multifaceted. And how, they hide one part of themselves and present another. I don't think the point of that is that people are two-faced and that the inherently bad side of them is the therefore real one, or that even the inherently good side is the therefore real one. The point is that's both them. This is Sadako, and so is the Sadako who likes to neg Keiichi. Those are both Sadako. People can have multiple faces, and they're still the same person. That's not an act of hiding or being duplicitous. Duplicity? It's not an act of duplicity. It's just how people are. We're not the same way all the time. like I have a version of myself I slip into when we record or when I stream. And then I have a version of myself I slip into when I'm playing Rabbit and Steel with folks on Discord. And I have a version of myself I slip into when I am just watching anime with Vivian at night. Right? And I have a version of myself I slip into when I'm going to see family. Or this isn't... I really want to stress how basically everything the game has been telling us at this point has been going against what Keiichi's telling us here.
I'm imagining the phrasing of slipping into a version of oneself like slipping on a banana peel. Like, whoops, slipped and fell into a version of myself, oh no.
Yeah. And it's not like the me who's on microphone now is not me. It's not like this is fake.
That's good. I was starting to get worried that maybe somebody else was recording today.
No, because also people get the idea that the you are on camera isn't really you, or on mic isn't really you. And maybe some people do consciously put on a persona like that. If you're actively picking a persona to play, I can see that being the case. But this is just a version of me that speaks in a different kind of way with a little bit more confidence and talks about things I normally wouldn't talk about. That's still me. Like, Keiichi, people can have multiple parts to themselves. Didn't you read chapters 1 and 2? Oh, right, he didn't. Shoot. Mion told him not to. Now that I've been playing the role of her brother, I discovered that she really could smile so sweetly. But I wasn't Satoshi Hojo. I was Keiichi Maebara, a totally different person. I couldn't become her brother. I don't think she's asking you to be her brother. She's asking, like, for someone to, like, help support her a little bit. In a brotherly way, sure, but I don't think she's asking you to, like, literally be her brother. Just be a brother figure. You know what I mean? Like, or rather, she's not asking you to be Satoshi Hojo. She's asking you to be Keiichi Maebara as someone who's like a brother to her.
Mm-hmm.
That there's a very important difference there. I could come close, but I could never really get there. I was vaguely somehow a little bit sad. I was wearing Satoshi's mantle, and that would have to come off one day.
Oh, first you borrow his baseball bat, now you borrow his mantle?
Yeah. See, and again, this is like the bad way of thinking about this. I'm thinking about it like where I'm pretending to be someone else. Like, no, you can just be Keiichi Maebara, who is, has a brother-like relationship with Sadako. That is okay. You don't have to pretend to be Satoshi you don't have to pretend to be Satoshi to do that. You can just be that person. That would doubtlessly put an end to this meager, nostalgic, peaceful time of Sadako's. A limited tranquility. Tranquility that would end one day. Putting it in those terms, it was really sad. I shook my head firmly and drove off those pointless thoughts.
What's the matter, Keiichi-san?
I'm sorry, it's nothing. Just the voices in my head were talking for a long time.
Oh, mine too. Well, if it's nothing, then please don't act all strange like that. Makes me worry that you might have eaten something rotten.
Right. Sorry, Sadako. Nagging like always, but she still seemed really happy. That mood of hers drew me in, putting a smile on my own face. Hey, Keiichi Maebara. Don't be quite thinking about this having to end one day. If it will, then just think about it when it happens. That's okay, yeah. There was one thing, however, I could say for sure. As long as I smiled like this, Sadako's own smile would never wane. So as long as I stayed this way, this tranquility would never end. Satoshi would come back one day too. That might happen a lot further away than I'd like, but until that day, what's wrong with me being a replacement for him? Saying that I'm not a real brother so I can't become Satoshi, that was just an excuse. If I just didn't run away, Sadako would stay happy and live a full life of annoyed nitpicking. I don't know what happened to Satoshi or what made him abandon Sadako and run away, but just seeing Sadako in such a good mood made me think I could persevere as long as I needed to. So this is what I thought. I wouldn't become Satoshi. I would have become a replacement brother. Oh, he got there! Good on you! Aw, good job, Keiichi. Also, another quick side. He really likes to address himself while he's talking to himself, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's a weird little habit of his. Like, hey, Keiichi Maebara. Like, the narration we're reading is pretty explicitly his own internal monologue. But it's interesting that he stops to talk, like, hey, me. Talk directly to himself. It's an interesting little habit of his. This is it, the kind of stir-fry I was waiting for. It's great. It's absolutely great. Salt and pepper in the broth, man. Can eat an entire pot of this. Oh, is he gonna go so overboard on it that Sadako thinks he's being disingenuous? Is Sadako gonna be like, he's clearly putting it on and not being genuine anymore? No, don't think of every way things could go wrong. You're not Keiichi, SK. Come on.
Stop that, Keiichi-san. You're spilling food everywhere. The food isn't gonna run away. You don't need to eat it so fast.
No, it will run away. The best and freshest flavors are running away from me the moment the meal is completed. If we were to make 100 delicious things, I would have to duty taste every one of them. It's just good manners to do so.
Your feelings are more than enough. So calm down and enjoy your food. You don't have to eat like a fucking animal. God. No, really, I don't have a problem with you enjoying it. It's just that it's all over your shirt now. The dinner cloth. You made your point. Just like, for God's sake. It's like staring into a chasm when you open your mouth. I can see infinity down there.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. No insults here. I meekly scratched my head, then put down my chopsticks and laughed along with her like it was funny. I ended up doing most of the eating. Sadako was barely taking a bite. She seemed satisfied just by watching me enjoy the food so much. Oh, Sadako, what's on your mind, girl? Whenever I filled my mouth with more of her delicious meal, Sadako looked glad. Let me enjoy the food even more. In this way, she kept smiling happily the whole time. Looking at her made me really happy as well. The time passed softly and gently. Before I would have gone back and forth hurling insults with Sadako. In other words, we would have gotten into a fight right away. I'd never known I could feel such peace of mind by talking to her honestly like this. A little bit happy about having discovered this new side of Sadako. For example, I was eating food that she had made. There wasn't an inch of me that thought it was suspicious. Before, however, Sadako would have definitely put some sort of trap into it. Ugh, I think I ate too much. I'm gonna take a dump.
Hey, Keiichi-san, it's bad manners to say such words during a meal.
What should I say? I'm going to the bathroom? The toilet? The lavatory? Sadako looked down, her face bright red, and pointed down the hallway as if to say, just go already. Oh, as if to say,
Just go already. And yes, I know where the bathroom in your house is. Actually, that's not weird. I was here the night before and we probably used it.
whoops, my old habit seemed to have come back. But, yeah, it wasn't all that bad either. No weird schemes, everything is just natural. While having such utterly unguarded thoughts, I went into the bathroom. Tug. My foot caught on something string-like. Huh? Did you set that there last night, Sadako? Whoa!
Bang, kerslam.
Yo! Rattle, rattle. A kettle? A wash tub? Sadako! She got me. I can't believe her. She always does this when I let my guard down. I can't relax for a minute around her. Still, it was kind of funny. I didn't really feel like getting angry at her. Sadako, laughing uproariously, came over.
See? I knew you would fall for it sooner or later.
Why, you little... Let my guard down for 1 second and this is what I get? I picked up the wash tubs that had crashed into my head and went to go hit Sadako with it. I doubled over with the laughter that had been welling up within me, so I couldn't manage it. I wish things could go on forever like this. I do think I have a concussion, though.
Is it a funny concussion?
It's not like I was having the most fun since coming to Hinamizawa or anything, but it was probably the first time I'd spent my day so simply and comfortably. It really wasn't worth much. It was only a few hours after all. As an only child, it was my first taste of having a sibling. Just washing dishes with her felt really nice. Side by side, we washed with the experienced Sadako doing most of the work as I threw inappropriate words to add to the conversation. The scene was so commonplace and yet so mild and warm. Maybe I'd felt this kind of warmth before too in the past. I don't think I've stood next to the sink with my mother like this when I was little. It made me feel nostalgic once I remembered it. It was the same sort of slow, easy time. It was tranquil. Such a quiet tranquility that made the fact I wasn't uneasy about anything itself almost made me uneasy. Hey, wait, Keiichi Maebara. You feel uneasy about something just from spending time so leisurely? There's nothing at all to feel uneasy about. Why would I be punished for enjoying a gentle life? I'd do anything to keep these days going, and I would never do anything bad. No matter what. I'd work hard for it, endure much for it. So God, not much of a dream to want this thing to keep on going, but can't you grant it? Maybe that's God on the phone right now.
Oh? Is that not the telephone? Who could it be at this hour?
Huh? Oh, you're right. I hadn't noticed until she mentioned it. I hurried to stand up and ran to the phone. Who could it be at a time like this? It did feel a little like the phone had interrupted my happy moment, but still wanted to brag about how happy the time I was spending made me, no matter who it was on the other side. Hey, God, it's me, Keiichi. This is Maebara speaking.
Hello, Keiichi. It's your mother.
Oh, hey, Mom. What's up? It's pretty late. A little cold to me when she was only calling because she was worried about her son. Couldn't help but give myself a dry smile.
It sounds like you're doing just fine for yourself. I was worried that you couldn't make dinner and went to bed hungry.
Nah, it worked out.
Did you make dinner properly? What did you have tonight?
It was vegetable stir-fry, rice, miso soup. Bought stuff for it at the supermarket, plus a whole bunch of side dishes just for fun. Hey, listen to this. I got the pork during the sale and got it half off. Things a housewife knows, am I right? And also, He was paying attention the entire time. Aw, Keiichi, sweetie. All that was thanks to Sadako, not something I should be proud about. Still, I couldn't help but want to boast about the dinner tonight. Seemed like Mom got the hint that I was in a really good mood.
I see. I'm so relieved that you're doing just fine. Oh, yes, another thing. Your dad and I finished up with our job.
Our job. They went to Tokyo for his job, but now it's our job. I really want to know what the Maebaras do. I really, really want to know what they do.
We think we'll be back tomorrow afternoon or evening.
Oh, I see. All right.
You did well for 2 nights. We've been pulling all-nighters, too. It was a lot of work, but we managed to fill the gap in your dad's mentor's event.
All right, cool. That's good. Well done. All right, parents coming home seems so disappointing. I knew a little bit of the reason, of course. This tranquility I never wanted to end was about to end so readily, and it was a little painful. Being asked what kind of souvenir I wanted from Tokyo, replying that anything edible would be great, I put down the receiver. And Sadako appeared, having finished cleaning up her trap. Oh, she does clean up after herself. She doesn't just do the traps and leave them there. She's like,
Yes, but of course I don't want to leave any permanent damage. Hold on, let me buff out the floor again.
At first, Sadako was in a very good mood, but when she saw me put down the receiver with an uncertain expression, her own clouded over a bit.
Oh,
Seemed like she gotten the gist of what my phone conversation had been about.
was that your parents, Keiichi-san?
Yeah, Mom says they'll be back tomorrow.
Oh, that's good then. I won't have to go to the trouble of making you dinner tomorrow. Now you can enjoy your meals with just your family.
Well, that's not it. When I think about the dull, plain dinner table coming back tomorrow, it's a little lonely.
Sure do live in luxury. A family sitting around the dinner table is the most fun way to enjoy a meal, after all. Can you imagine having a house with rooms in it?
And family members
Family members
who are alive and also not missing.
alive, not missing, make you food too. And are proper adult aged. And not just children with adult-sized expectations on them.
Her brother, Satoshi, running away from home, came to mind immediately. There's no gloom in the way she said it.
It's only for 2 days, but they were enjoyable dinners.
Well then, next time we'll go to your house to visit. How's that sound?
Huh?
Sadako momentarily made a happy smile, but then a second later changed to an expression of surprise.
My house is small, and it's dirty, and the kitchen isn't as good as this one.
Well, I don't mind, but if you don't want to, then I won't. Sadako shook her head firmly, her whole body expressing denial. I gotta get you to teach me a whole bunch more stuff, too. I finally managed to figure out how to use the rice cooker and how to cook miso soup, after all.
That's right, isn't it? Perhaps we should use this opportunity to have you learn more about cooking.
So like Sadako to take this as a chance to proclaim that it was all for my sake. But there was no way to conceal her own enthusiasm. It's true that this gentle time would come to an end when my parents got back. There was no need to lament that, though. I can easily put in the effort to continue our mild moments like this. Like yesterday, Sadako told me she didn't need to be escorted home. But Rika-chan wasn't with her tonight. She'd be going home by herself. Everyone knew everyone else's face here in Hinamizawa. So it wasn't like it was dangerous to go out at night, but it still wasn't good to send a girl on her way all alone. At the very least, that's what I thought Sadako's older brother. I'll take you as far as the school, at least. There's more lights over in that direction anyway.
It's really fine, all right? If someone bad shows up, I'll take them down with one finger.
There's no point in pressing her any more on the subject, so took a handful of Sadako's hair and rubbed her head vigorously. Come on, Sadako, don't complain so much. Your Nini will bring you part of the way there. That's what I was about to say when I suddenly got embarrassed and my voice trailed off. Nini could only be the nickname Sadako gave to her old brother and nothing else. Not to use it pretty lightly, so I started to feel apologetic and a little ashamed. Has she ever used the phrase Nini in any other chapter?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I think I would have remarked on that if she had.
Nini?
Huh? What did Sadako just say?
Keiichi-san just seems like an older brother. That's what I said. It's not quite right, but you seem kind of alike, so I just, oh no.
Sadako laughed awkwardly and turned red in the face. Of course, I was embarrassed when I saw her too, because the fact that I was trying to act like her brother had gotten across. A warm feeling spread out from my chest. It's completely different from romantic feelings or any of those more impatient emotions. It's much more graceful, quiet, and warm, and calm. Sadako still needed her Nini. I had initially thought Rika-chan was being sly not coming today. But when I thought about it like this, I could feel a kind of thoughtfulness of her worrying about a good friend's feelings. Maybe Rika-chan had understood that she couldn't play the part of a brother herself. So then, let's stop there, Keiichi Maebara. There's no point in thinking about it so hard. It means everyone feels the same way. It means everyone wants Sadako to be happy. Sadako's acting as though her Nini running away from home didn't bother her at all, even though that actually wasn't the case. She was very sad and always waiting for him to come home, because Sadako was a stable person when she was with his sister. In order for her to really be this level-headed, having a brother was something she couldn't do without. Okay. In other words, Sadako still needed a brother. Nobody had the right to smile it away as childish immaturity. In fact, they deserve praise for being so close to each other as siblings. That role of brother should be played by her real Nini, by Satoshi, but unfortunately he wasn't here. So since I'm here, I'll play the part. Not with a guilty conscience, but in a very natural way. Because... is there something wrong with seeing Sadako smile so happily?
What is it, Keiichi-san? You've been smirking for quite a while now. I could read your face if I wanted to, but I'm being polite. Also, it's dark out.
Is it weird for me to look happy?
It isn't weird or anything, but, well...
The sound of the motor on her bike light was too loud and I couldn't hear what she said. What? What'd you say?
Nothing. You really are just like Nini, you know. Keiichi-san.
Well, is that right?
Of course, you're completely different from my real Nini. But, there's things. Things that you do the same. It's really a mystery.
Don't tell me they just dropped in this really nice, beautiful piano piece just for this. This is the first time we've heard this, right? This
I think
really
so.
sweet piano thing just between the two of them having a found sibling moment. Oh. This chapter is going to hurt me in ways. The same. Do you feel lonely when you remember your Nini? As I said that, I thought for a moment it was absolutely the wrong thing to say, but she didn't seem to mind one bit.
It's not that I'm lonely. Since Keiichi-san is being my Nini for me right now.
As I was flustered for a moment at her hitting the mark, Sadako suddenly asked me a question in a calm voice. A very quiet, composed, and adult question.
Was it Rika?
It was quiet, but her voice sounded lonely somehow.
Didn't Rika ask you to act like my Nini for me?
Is that what you think?
Please don't take offense. Rika is strangely considerate of me. But really doesn't bother me that much.
I could say for sure at least that was a lie. Yesterday and today, Sadako had been so happy spending time like this with me as siblings. That was proof itself that she was lying about it not getting to her. So I gave her a light poke in the head. You're thinking too much, dummy. I'm me. I'm Keiichi Maebara. I'm not your Nini. I'm not Satoshi Hojo.
I know that.
Despite her saying that, her expression seemed a little lonesome. At this point, Sadako herself had realized that her question had been the wrong thing to say. I didn't need to keep talking about something that Sadako regretted. So in order to cut the conversation short, I grabbed her head and pet her. Let's not talk about silly things like that. It's getting late, so get back home, brush your teeth, and go to bed. And rinse your mouth before sleeping too. It'll keep you from getting a cold.
You're one to talk, Nini. Be sure to brush your teeth, okay? Rinse your mouth. Wash your hands. Get your books ready tomorrow, and...
I wonder what kind of siblings Sadako and Satoshi were. Never seen them together, but I could say without a doubt they were really close. As for the way in which they were close, it was probably quite like this. It was so cool that the day's heat seemed like a lie, and yet the moonlight was somehow faintly warm. The quiet chorus of the insects was pleasing to the ears. This chapter is going to break me, SK, personally. This is... You can't do this to me. You can't... Not after I've decided that she's my favorite. Sadako's Trap Course Intermediate. Shall we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, alright, let's do that real quick here. Trials and Tribulations is the name of the achievement. A clearer conscience wins the day. Aw. And the music keeps going through that Is that a die piece? It sounded a lot like some of the die recordings on the Umineko OST.
I don't know.
I could see Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun walking over to the gym storehouse. They need to get the bag of lime used to make the lines on the court for our next gym class. They were on duty today, after all. But, right. In that storehouse, a terrible trap was awaiting them. Being in on this side of the trap for once is really thrilling.
Oh, you realize that is the true pleasure in setting up traps? And you have the potential yourself, Keiichi-san.
Sadako's love language is showing people how to make traps. The two of them fumbled around with the gym's storehouse lock. Oh? What's this? Okamura-kun pointed at part of the door and started whispering to Tomita-kun. Then realizing something, they both jumped away from the door. Oh, Sadako, I think they found out. Did we mess up?
They've calculated that one knows the trap at the entrance. And of course, I've calculated what action they will take now.
According to Sadako, after they noticed the suspicious trap on the door, they would go around and try to get in through the back window. And just as she prophesized, they went around to the back. And just as she prophesized, they climbed up, opened the window, and tried to sneak in. Well, amazing. Everything's exactly like you said. Oh, we got them! Poof, poof! An explosion of pure white lime burst out of the window. After a few moments, the two of them managed to crawl away from the window, both of them completely white.
This is the moment I live for! It tastes like honey.
But still, that was some trap. You would have had to know everything to set something like that up, where they'd put their hands, their legs, where they'd jump down.
Listen carefully, Keiichi-san. The first step to making a trap is to watch and observe the victim. You must scrupulously predict their movement patterns, how they'll move at any given moment. If you do that, you can achieve the greatest possible results with only the most minimal trap.
Is this something we should be thinking about in terms of other people's movements and stuff? Come to think of it, before Sadako read the final move at that final moment earlier, Mion had given her high praise, saying that she had the markings of a genius. So it's all about reading the opponent. So then the traps you've caught me in before, they work because you figured out everything I do.
Yes. I can see right through all of your actions, and that's how I set them up.
Is it that? Or is it that you know he go to his bathroom eventually because people go to the bathroom, and you thought he'd have gotten to it sooner? Maybe she's talking up herself a little bit, but you know what? That's fine. Give yourself a big ego. That's good.
So if one day you suddenly started having different habits and behavior, I wouldn't be able to anymore. Like if, for example, you suddenly started acting like my brother out of nowhere.
Bragging that she could anticipate everything I do. That was kind of mean. Alright then, let's play a game now. I want to test whether your predictions are accurate.
No, yes, that is fine with me. Keiichi-san, you're particularly easy to get a read on. I could do it before breakfast.
When we went back to the classroom, Sadako tore off pieces of paper, wrote something on the back of them, making 3 cards. Of course, I didn't know what she'd written.
Please pick one of these cards, Keiichi-san. If you do not pick one that says you were a loser, you will win.
Well, great, you're on. The club has built on my sensitivity to this stuff, so I'll smash right through your predictions. If you do not pick one that says, just don't pick one. Sadako smirks and holds out the 3 cards. Set your mind to full power by calming it, Keiichi Maebara. Cool and collected is how you'll win. If I didn't pick the losing one, I'll win. Which means if I do pick it, Sadako will win. In other words, Sadako wants to make me pick the losing one. What'd she do to make sure I pick the losing one? Could she even predict something like that? Statistically speaking, isn't there some rule that says I'm more likely to pick the one in the middle, or the ones on either side? It makes me like a flash. This is what Mion would do.
Now, which one will you pick?
I made my decision, and it is this one.
Huh? What are you doing?
I steal all 3 cards from Sadako's hands, predicted what Sadako would do in advance. Sadako wanted to make sure I picked the losing one, which meant all 3 of these were losing ones. And that's how I do. Allow me to look at all 3. I flip all 3 cards face up, and on each one there's a single word. You're a loser. Got him! What? What is this? You're a loser. Huh?
Means just what it says. If you'd only chosen one, you wouldn't have lost, you know.
What? Then you predicted that I'd draw all 3? No! I held my head in my hands and it fainted as Sadako reveled in the might of her abilities. So, Keiichi mentioned she's thinking specifically like Mion would, and Sadako is very good at countering that kind of thinking. Her shrill laughter echoed throughout the classroom.
That or Sadako is just a mild precog.
That too. And then there was a proof as lime powder came down upon Sadako's head. I looked to see Tomita-kun and Okamura-kun all in white, dumping a whole bag of lime powder on her and getting revenge.
What are you so suddenly trying to do, you two?
Looks like there's no use talking to the person who set up that trick.
Well, excuse me, princess. Would you happen to have any proof? And I'd like it if you didn't call something so inelegant a trick. I prefer you call it something more refined. A trap, please.
That being said, these two pretending to be tough, not only but standing still completely blank and silent. But anyway, ignoring what happened before, having someone chase you with their mouth full of lime in such a way that they can't even speak, that'd be scary even for Sadako.
Ah! Keiichi's on, homie. Oh no, the consequences of my actions.
Our underclassmen crashed around the classroom in a furious combat, getting white lime everywhere. Hey, Sadako, why couldn't you see this coming exactly? At the time I hadn't seen something coming too, though. The teacher coming to me afterward and giving us all a stern talking to. Oh no, this chapter's gonna make me so sad.
But you're getting found family moments with your favorite.
I am so weak
You're
to
getting
those.
what you wanted.
I am so weak to
This
the
is
found
what you
family.
wanted, right?
Yes, it is. It absolutely is. That's like a reason I really love the original Ace Attorney trilogy is exactly for those found family moments. It's hitting me right where my weak point is. And I'm like, oh, this is gonna suck so hard, isn't it? Okay. Well, crap. Like, comment, subscribe, and write down who you think Sadako should be allowed to kill. Actually, yeah. That's fine. Go for it. Just make sure there's a lot of different ones down there, so I can't tell if you're lampshading something or not. Don't be a dick. Bye.
Peace.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.